So we talked about the fact the Montreal Canadiens struggled to win their fourth straight cup in 1979. We knew that Ken Dryden was planning to leave the team, probably retire. We knew several players were disgruntled. But I think what really happened, and this is my personal opinion, and I've talked to different media in Quebec about it, Jacques Lemaire was hoping to get a better focus on his future career with Montreal. Bowman had left the year before, or was going to leave because he didn't make him GM. Lemaire thought in his mind he could be a player coach for the Montreal Canadiens, which eventually became in the next season in Europe. But the Montreal Canadiens, like I said, I don't know if they motivated the writer. Jacques Lemaire was the MVP of that playoff, but Bob Gainey won it. No disregard to Gainey, but Jacques Lemaire, what he did in that series, he carried Montreal for most of the set, especially against the Rangers. He didn't win Conn Smythe, and he made a final decision to leave. Now, why would Jacques Lemaire leave the Montreal Canadiens? Well, here it goes. He rejected, surprisingly for a lot of people, not for me, rejected the Canadiens' contract offer extension of $225,000 for each of the next 5 years. So it was almost $1.2 million. He eventually signed a 3-year contract as player, coach, and GM of HC Sierra on June 15, 1979. He was paid $75,000 tax-free annually and had absolute control over his contract. I always wanted to do something reckless, have an adventure, see how other people live, discover something new. Well, that time is now. I've always been interested in coaching, and when this opportunity presented itself, it seemed like the perfect thing. Now, you would think as a player or coach, he wouldn't have put big numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, his last season with the Montreal Canadiens, he had 55 points in a limited season of 50 games. But with HC Theater and the Swiss 2 League, he had 45 points in 28 games in 1980 with 29 counters, while in 1981 almost scored 50 goals in 38 games with 38 assists for 87 points. Now, a lot of people felt he was going to end up being assistant for the Montreal Canadiens down the road. However, he decided to make his North American coaching debut not in the NHL in 81, but he served as an assistant coach at SUNY Plattsburgh to future NHL scout Herb Hammond at the NCAA Division III level. Lemaire was head coach of the Canadiens from 83 to 85, and then the New Jersey Devils from 93 to 98, winning the Stanley Cup with New Jersey in 95 for the 11th time, and a Jack Adams Award in 94 and 2003. Now, Lemaire was also the head coach of the Minnesota Wild from 2000 to 2009, the first head coach of organizations. He also won the 2 more Stanley Cups as an assistant GM with Montreal in 86 and 93. Now, what Lemaire I think he wanted to do, and you saw a little bit about it in the way he played the Rangers in 79, a defensive-minded system. He is allegedly not say the creator, but the perfecter of what is called the neutral zone trap. Now, just like Scotty Bowman, he rarely used permanent lines, preferring to use mixed line combinations during games. Third, Lemaire never employed a permanent team captain during his tenure with Minnesota, opting to rotate it on a monthly basis amongst the players. He's also regarded as one of the best teaching coaches, developing young players while working well with veterans. Except for Guy Lafleur, but that ship has sailed. You could do a million words on his bad relationship with Lafleur as coach and player. Now, his emphasis on defense first has often been controversial, both inside and outside the dressing room. This perhaps has led to some conflict with stars players like Marian Gaborik, formerly with the Wild, and criticism from the media. An example was provided by Terry Fry of ESPN.com in an article posted on August 4, 2008. Lemaire, helped drag down the entertainment quotient in this league, and despite all the talk of the Wild being a skating team that uses speed and pounces on turnovers, not all the elements of the trap have disappeared from Minnesota's game. You think the state of hockey is going to tire of that at some point, especially if the Wild slide this season and it drives Marian Gaborik away next summer. Now, the use of the trap, you see what the Panthers did in the first 3 games against Edmonton, and that's pretty well what they did. Did it do in Game 4, and look what happened. It was a big 8-1 loss. But the Devils were a scoring team in the years he coached in 93, 94, and I really think it can be balanced anyway. Now, he's also coached with Team Canada with the 2010 Winter Olympics. He also joined again that great trio of Lindy Ruff, Ken Hitchcock, and Mike Babcock that helped Canada to a gold medal. Now, he was also a head coach with the Devils in 2009, 2010, and announced his retirement at the end of 2010 season. Now, Lemaire did come back out of retirement after John McLean was fired, and he eventually announced his permanent retirement from the Devils in 2011. In 2015, he was a special assignment coach for all teams of Maple Leafs, and he was also a special assignment coach, which is continuing in a lot of ways in 2018 onward for the New York Islanders. And you saw some of the success of Lemaire's style with the Islanders last season. Now, of course, in LaSalle, Quebec, one of Lemaire's home areas, there's a rink named after him. Now, I only interviewed Lemaire in '91 when him and Keenan were up for the Olympic tournament in Campbellton at the new Civic Center. I found him to be a big mind. I would like to have 20 minutes with him to learn more than the 10 minutes I did to interview him. But what a mind for hockey, ladies and gentlemen. What he saw in hockey. He never scored more than 44 goals in a season, but he was a number 3 player on the Montreal Canadiens for the majority of his career. Look what he did in '71. You look what he did in '77. A money player in the playoffs for sure. And I say this, ladies and gentlemen, 61 goals in the playoffs, 139 points at 145 games. And, playing with Lafleur, playing with Mondeau, playing with Schutt. Sometimes he would play on the power play with Lambert and Risebrough. He was basically somebody that there's a kind of a mini story in the game about Lemaire's intensity. Of all things, it refers to there was an incident, I guess, in between games where the Habs players were flinging quarters like closest to the curb, and he was determined to win. And but he didn't have Mario Tremblay's kind of boisterousness. He didn't have Lapointe's practical joke thing. But like I said, Schutt was better for Lafleur than Lemaire was for Lafleur, because Lemaire, the big moving shot, you weren't going to pass it. Schutt was a rebound guy. Like, he would get Lafleur's rebounds, or he would pass to Lafleur. Schutt was a very good playmaker. But I think Lemaire technically is the most underrated player and coach in the modern era, because all those Stanley Cups are there. As a player, as a coach, assistant coach, whatever you want to call it, he assistant GM, the success will follow him. And the only reason why I think they didn't win the cups again in '74 and '75, and those are the lost years for the Montreal Canadiens. Basically, they didn't want to play a combination of Lemaire's system and the Lafleur system. That's why they lost. I mean, you got to have you get the defense first, then you get the offense. But like I said, it's kind of weird. He could have went to the AHL. He could have went to what was left of the last of the WHA, like independent scene. But he wanted to try something new anyway. Pretty freaky. But his coaching record, ladies and gentlemen, it's amazing here. Right? Talk about Hall of Fame twice. 1,262 games, 617 victories, and of course the '95 Stanley Cup in a shortened season in that year. And first place with Montreal, of course, in '85, and first place New Jersey in '97 and '98, in 2008, and of course New Jersey again in 2010. But as many times he made the playoffs, there were several seasons he didn't make the playoffs, and especially the first years of Minnesota were the struggle. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Montreal Canadiens, when you think of the Montreal Canadiens, you got to think of Jacques Lemaire. And the idea is, it's what now? Almost 60 or 65 years. He's been part of the what they call the elite hockey system. and again, truly 100 greatest players of all time. But for coaches, he's got to be top 30. So I mean, and I don't think he was ever lazy, whatever he did. And there was some talk again why Lafleur quit. It was because of Lemaire in '84. I don't think so. Lafleur was just, he had a lot of off-field struggles. It wasn't Lemaire's fault. It wasn't Lemaire's fault when they won together. Just because Lemaire was coaching doesn't mean Lafleur, you know, he was holding back Lafleur. Lafleur was older, and like I said, there's a lot of stuff he was going through. I can't get into that was there. So Lemaire didn't retire after the '79 season. A follower of the channel mentioned that. That's a misnomer. He never retired. He just rejigged his career. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And don't forget, keep your stick in the ice.